This was turning out to be a rather normal build-up to a new Formula One season because the two drivers, Lando Norris of McLaren and Charles Leclerc of Ferrari, they were in focus. Maybe they would switch teams or not, but as it turns out, both signed new multi-year contracts with their respective teams. However, yesterday the biggest news dropped out of nowhere that Lewis Hamilton, 7-time Formula One world champion, is moving from Mercedes to Ferrari. The rumors had started earlier in the day, and finally late night in India the news was official that Hamilton has indeed moved from Mercedes to Ferrari. I'm joined by my colleague Dipak Ragav. Dipak, what was your initial reaction when you heard the speculation that Hamilton could move to Ferrari? Was it even like, did you expect it?
No, it was totally out of the blue, simply for the reason that Hamilton last year signed a multi-year contract with Mercedes. I mean, there were talks about him switching to Ferrari before he signed the deal around August of last year. So once that was sorted, we didn't expect much of movement there. Obviously, as you said, there was speculations about what Lando might do, and to an extent Leclerc, I mean, whether he was fully convinced with Ferrari, but Leclerc also, we knew to an extent that he was Ferrari's main man. So, but this one is just completely out of the blue, and it's probably the biggest driver change in Formula One in recent history, if not even like the last couple of decades, actually, to say.
Yeah. So what I've been hearing is that there was this link up that Hamilton might move to Ferrari. There were all these years there were rumors, but it never materialized. But now at this stage, when he's in late 30s, it's finally happened.
Yeah.
How do you see that a move at this stage of his career, a move to Ferrari? Do you think he's still like looking to get that elusive 8th title, or this could be like the final wish on his bucket list?
See, the allure of Ferrari is there for every driver. Every driver on the Formula One grid, irrespective of where he has won his titles, where he's won his race wins and everything, every driver wants to take a swing at the red car. I mean, the allure is always going to be there. Ferrari is Formula One, actually. I mean, it's the most special team on the planet. So, I mean, I'm not sure if the 8th title is the main focus. For me, I think there's something that he has seen in Mercedes that he feels he's not going to get that 8th title at Mercedes, and that's why he's switching to Ferrari. Whether he'll get it there, I'm not sure, but at least it gives him a great bookend to a career. I mean, 7-time champion, more than 100 race wins. So, I mean, it's as you said, the final thing in the bucket list. So, if he's not going to win an 8th title, might as well try and do it at Ferrari and still go out having had a swing in the red car.
You spoke about it being the biggest move. We have, like, in the past, we've seen drivers making moves like this. Hamilton himself moved from McLaren to Mercedes. Schumacher moved from Benetton to Ferrari, and there are a couple of more examples. But still, do you feel this is the biggest one? Or
yes, it is the biggest. I mean, yes, as you said, Benetton, Schumacher outgrew Benetton. I think the closest I can think of in recent times is Vettel leaving Red Bull to Ferrari. He'd won 4 titles, had a very middling 2014 where he got beaten by Ricciardo in his first year at Red Bull, and then, but also with Vettel, we always knew he was always going to, because he was such a big Schumacher fan, he always wanted to do, get into that legacy, he wanted to do what Schumacher did, and we knew Vettel was going to do that. But Hamilton, as he said, I mean, yes, we knew that Hamilton had talks with Ferrari even as early as late as 2019, but once he had signed a deal last year, and to do this even before the season started without driving the car, it's just totally out of the blue. I mean, it's not. I don't think even Mercedes expected it. I mean, the way the whole thing unfolded yesterday, where the team had to have a hurried meeting in the afternoon to tell the team members that Hamilton was indeed leaving and everything. And even when you see the press release from Ferrari, it just says Scuderia Ferrari is pleased to announce that it has signed Lewis Hamilton for 2025 on a multi-year deal. There's not even a single quote from Hamilton on that press release. So that shows how last minute and how hurriedly the whole thing has happened.
Do you also think that this has something to do with the team principal of Ferrari, Fred Vasseur, and his connection with Hamilton?
Possibly. Hamilton drove in, I think this is GP2, the 2006 GP2, and also the year before, I think it was Formula 3. I'm not very sure what that championship exactly was. So, I mean, that is there, but Fred Vassar has been a part of the junior setup for a long time. I think most of the drivers would have come through his team. So that cannot be the only thing. As when Fred himself said, he's worked with most of the drivers on the grid. That doesn't mean he's going to sign everyone there to Ferrari. So yes, that is there, but I'm not sure that is the biggest thing. I think he's been convinced by something a bit more than Fred Vassar there. I think the technical people, a couple of them from Mercedes, are already heading towards Ferrari. There's something has happened. Either he's lost faith in Mercedes, or he's seen something in Ferrari to make the commitment. And if I can just add one more point, the biggest thing is we have a rule change in 2026.
Yeah.
If you remember in 2013, when Hamilton decided to move to Mercedes, he was sold on the idea that Mercedes was ahead of the curve for the 2014 hybrid regulations. Yeah. Niki Lauda and Ross Brawn was still at the helm at Mercedes back then. So those two guys really convinced Hamilton to take the jump, to take a leap of faith. Has he done it again? We never know. Let's see. I mean, he's got it right once, and that set the foundation for his humongous success. I mean, he won 6 titles with Mercedes in 7 years. So I mean, possibly in 2021, whatever, however you want to count that as.
Yeah.
So almost nearly won the 7th title with Mercedes as well there. Yeah. So has Hamilton got it right again? Time will tell.
So we now know that this is going to be his final season with Mercedes. How do you see his relationship with Mercedes all these years, and do you think this is a good decision for both parties? Because Toto Wolff was like, there was this bit of confusion, like they wanted George Russell to be the next big star, but since Hamilton was still there, you could not just sideline him so easily.
No, I think Mercedes have been caught with their pants down actually. Because I don't think they expected this move, because once they committed to another 2 years, and Hamilton was still operating at a very, very high level. I mean, he got the better of, obviously George Russell got the better of, finished higher than Hamilton in 2022, but last year Hamilton showed why he's still one of the best drivers on the F1 grid. So I think this is a big blow for Mercedes. And George Russell himself had a middling season last year. There's a lot of mistakes. He was quick, but there's also a lot of mistakes. So, but this, as you said, since now that Hamilton is out of the way, probably Russell can, step up to being the team leader. So it might work for him. Let's see about that.
Before we move to Ferrari again, lastly, who do you think could be Hamilton's replacement at Mercedes? Because there are a couple of options, and you can never rule Fernando Alonso out to make a move.
Yes, as you said, Alonso is obviously on the list. I think he'll be very high on the list. But again, Alonso's baggage is such that Mercedes had a chance to get Alonso even as early as 2017 when Rosberg made that bombshell of a retirement after winning his title in 2016. So, and Alonso is what, 40, he's 1981, it's like almost 43 years old now this year. Whether they want to invest in a 43-year-old or they want to say if I think it will a lot depend on the first couple of races, if Russell can find his mojo, and if Mercedes believe that they can build a team around Russell, then they might go for someone a less flashier option, let's say like Alex Albon. Esteban Ocon is someone who's worked closely with Wolff. He's fallen out of favor from Mercedes a bit, but he's out of contract at Alpine. And if Toto feels that Ocon could be the kind of very capable number 2 who will bank the points, who won't make huge issues within the team, who's not prone to a lot of errors or crashes, Ocon could be an option. Another thing, Sainz, you never know. Carlos has been really good at Ferrari. He's not the fastest driver. He's not the fastest driver on the grid, but he's a very capable, shrewd operator, and he calls himself a smooth operator. But he's very shrewd. Even in the last couple of years, he's often been much more smart than Leclerc. He's been able to take control of things. The win in Monaco, the win in Silverstone in 2020, those are races where he was able to overrule the team. He was able to make that switch on pit stops and things like that.
Last year
Singapore was another example, and even in 2022, that Monaco Grand Prix where Leclerc lost by doing another stop, and Sainz moved from wets to dries without doing the inters. He was able to overrule the team, and that's a very handy trait to have as a Formula 1 driver, and because that gives a confidence to the team as well. So, and he comes with a lot of experience now. He's quick, not the most outright, like on one lap pace, he's probably not there, but he's very sensible race day operator. His work ethic is great. So who knows? Carlos could also come in.
Now, what does this mean for Ferrari? Because people were expecting them to build a team around Leclerc, but now Hamilton is in the equation, and obviously he can't be number two. He has to be he possibly is the number one now because he's there. And what does it mean for Carlos Sainz? He's his contract is over. He said, what does the future hold for both Leclerc and Sainz?
Yes, for Ferrari, it's very, very unlike Ferrari thing to do. I mean, to have two alphas in the same team, it's not something that they generally prefer to do. They like to build a team around a single driver. So, and also Leclerc signed a multi-year deal. So, did he know that Hamilton was coming and he committed to it, or was he also as surprised as we are today? I'm not sure. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting because it seemed, I mean, remember, Ferrari got Leclerc after one season at Sauber, Alfa Romeo Sauber in 2018. They signed him in 2019. He beat Vettel hands down, and then immediately they committed to Leclerc being the future of the team. And he's a driver who's grown with the Ferrari junior days, the junior academy, the Ferrari driver academy. He's been part of the setup for a long time now, and he was groomed to be a Ferrari world champion. So I have no idea how the Ferrari, the interdynamics of Ferrari is going to be. It'll be very interesting. I mean, yes, as you said, now we have two alphas there. I mean, there's no number one, number two. I think whoever is ahead on the championship, he'll be eventually favored. But what I'm more concerned is Ferrari ready to have these two drivers there? It's a team in restructuring. Fred Vasseur took over last year. They are putting pieces together, but whether they are ready to have two alphas, I'm not sure.
Do you think Sainz is now then all set to move to the Audi team that might come?
I mean, his leverage has significantly come down. So, I mean, yes, Mercedes is an option.
Yeah.
McLaren again locked their drivers, so there's no room there. Is it Aston Martin in case Alonso leaves or Stroll decides to hang up? Aston Martin, and as you said, the soon-to-be Audi team, which is take F1 for the next 2 years, and 2026 it becomes the Audi's works team. So, yes, I think Audi will be an interesting choice because he had worked with Andrea Seidel, the team principal at Stake F1, which will become Audi. He's worked with Andrea Seidel at McLaren, and they rate him highly. He rates him highly enough. So that could be a good option for Carlos, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to take a long time for him to build a team there, and because that's a team that's really down the pecking order. It needs a lot of investment. It has not had a lot of investment in its Sauber days, so it'll be interesting to see. I think Mercedes should be on top of his list. I think he should be. I think he'll be already on a call with Toto 9 to seal a deal there.
So the Hamilton era at Ferrari will start in 2025. This is going to be his last season at Mercedes, and it is going to be interesting to see how he approaches this season. Will he go all out, and will there finally be a title fight, or will Max Verstappen once again dominate? Do follow Sports Star for coverage of the upcoming Formula One season. This is Nihit Sachdeva signing off.